Hey everyone, a couple weeks ago we made our Phase 3 preparation video, and you guys seemed to really enjoy that one. However, since then Blizzard announced the sort of pre-patch to Phase 3, which is actually already out and brought some unexpected stuff with it. And also, admittedly, we forgot some important stuff to mention in that original video. So today we're back with a new prep video with some new things to prepare for before all of the content that Phase 3 has to offer drops on January 27th. That being said, those things are not long and gone once Phase 3 drops. You can still do them after Black Temple and Hyjal are released, so you can still follow along this video even past that date. So without further ado, here's 7 new things to prepare for Phase 3. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start off with something I forgot to mention on that original video, and that was actually made easier now to obtain, and that's the PvP Trinket, Medallion of the Alliance or of the Horde. You need this trinket if you're not a paladin or a mage for one important reason, and that's the first boss of Mount Hyjal, Rage Winterchill. This boss uses an ability called Ice Bolt, which not only has a high probability of killing you on its own if you don't dispel it, but it also stuns you, rendering you completely useless for 4 seconds. So not only does this serve to let you pump more damage, but it also is the only realistic way for you to survive during this fight. And a dead DPS or healer is a DPS or healer that doesn't do any damage or healing. As I said, you don't have to worry about this if you're a paladin or mage, since you can bubble or blink out of this. The good news is, this trinket used to cost 4k honor, but now that cost has been halved. Of course, Blizzard didn't mention this anywhere, so we had to discover this by ourselves. 2k honor is very easy to get, by the way. You could get that in less than an hour, probably during a battleground weekend. When I got mine, I got 4k honor in just above 2 hours when the AV weekend was up. One more thing to mention, make sure to buy the correct one. There's one that has a 2-minute cooldown and one that has a 5-minute cooldown. They do look and cost the exact same, so double check first before buying. By the way, if you want to know what to do on Rage Winterchill or any other bosses in Hyjal in fact, we have a guide video for all of Mount Hyjal on the channel. Check it out if you want to. Moving on, to stay on the topic of bosses, let's talk about Teron Gorefiend. Teron Gorefiend has one important ability that any player in the raid can get targeted by, and if that first player doesn't know what they're doing, they're very likely going to wipe everyone. If you don't want that to happen to you, there's actually an awesome minigame on the internet of this exact encounter's ability, Shadow of Death. In this, you can practice this ability as much as you want, with real keybinds and everything. Then, at the end, it will even show you your time, and you can share this with your guild and compete with each other, for who has the lowest time. By the way, if anyone managed to break the 27 seconds timer, you're a hero. But anyways, if you've never done this, this is probably still going to be confusing at first. At least it was for me. But here's how you can do this very easily and consistently under 30 seconds. First off, the moment the mobs spawn, you want to AoE them using number 5. Then you want to root them using number 4. Then basically what you want to do is target one, cast 2 frostbolts on them, tap to the next mob, cast 2 frostbolts, etc. until your AoE is off cooldown. Then you basically want to repeat this process until all the mobs are dead. As I said, this is a super fun game, and a lot of people were skeptical on whether this actually does translate into teaching you to do this in the real fight. But basically, all the people in my guild that tried this have told me that this does a great job actually at teaching you that. So yeah, link to this will be in the description for you to practice, and share it with your guild too. And if you need to know what to do on any bosses, by the way, we also have a Black Temple guide on the channel. Moving on, let's talk about the new stuff that released during this pre-patch that you can actually take advantage of right now in preparation for the actual release of Phase 3. First, we have the new Quiver and ammo pouches for hunters. I talked about this many times in other videos, so I'm not gonna waste too much time on this, but basically those are already in the game. You need to be a leatherworker to craft them, but they can be traded, so you don't actually have to be a leatherworker to use them. Both require 1 primal nether to make and a few other reagents too. At least on my server, without counting the primal nether, the ammo pouch costs around 85 gold to make, and the quiver 100 right now. But that obviously differs from server to server. Those quivers and ammo pouches offer a whopping 24 slots compared to the 18 we had before. The speed increase increase they offer is the same though. But yeah, the inventory space is the real selling point for those. Next up, one important thing you need to be prepared for is to get Exalted with all of Aldor/Scryer's, Cenarion Expedition, and the Sha'tar. And that's to allow you to shave off a huge chunk of your consumable bill at the end of your raids. The reason for this is because when BT and Hyjal release, you'll start seeing Mark of the Illidari dropping left and right. And those can be exchanged at either the Aldor or Scryer's Bank for the Flask of your choice. Those flasks have a different name, but they're the exact same as the previous ones you've been using. The only difference is you can get those for way cheaper, since those Marks of the Illidari will probably be going for dirt cheap, or you could probably even get them for free by asking for a couple every week from your guild bank. But yeah, as I said, before you can interact with this vendor, you need to be Exalted with all of Cenarion Expedition, the Sha'tar, and Aldor or Scryers, which are factions you're very likely already Exalted with if you've been actively playing the game. But if you're new or have an alt that's still not Exalted, get working on this by farming dungeons or buying marks or signets. Next up, let's talk about resistance gear. You need resistance gear in Black Temple mainly and in 3 scenarios. If you're a warlock tanking Illidan during his demon phase, if you're a tank tanking the Flames of Azeroth on Illidan again during phase 2, or during Mother Shiraz if you're anything other than a tank. I'm not gonna talk about the warlock tank and the Flames tank, as people who are assigned to that probably already have fire or shadow resistance gear from the past. But for Mother Shiraz, there's actually a lot of different tips I found out for you to achieve your goal of shadow resistance very easily and quite cheap. First off, aiming for 248 shadow resistance with the priest buff, that's 178 without the priest buff, is going to be what most guilds should aim for. Anything below this and you'll start receiving some severe damage, especially if you get teleported. So aim for 178 without the priest buff. Thankfully, there's a lot of hidden and new things you can do to make that easier. First, you have the Broiled Bloodfin. This is a food buff that gives you 8 resistance to all schools of magic. As far as I know, a lot of people don't even know that this is a thing. This is a food you can learn by doing the dailies for cooking and by picking the fishing crate as a reward. It's not a guaranteed drop, but it still shouldn't take forever for you to get either. You can also just simply get someone to craft this for you if you want. 8 resistance might not seem like a lot until you start getting in the 150 and 160 neighborhood. And then you start to see that getting any kind of shadow resistance has a huge price attached to it. So any shadow resistance you can get outside of your gear is a godsend at these stages. And that's exactly what this food offers you. But that's not it. Another item that's releasing when phase 3 drops is Flask of Chromatic Wonder. At least it should be, of course. There has been no word from Blizzard that this is going to release, but it is on the Karazhan vendor on the PTR, so I'll just assume it's coming when Black Temple and Hyjal releases. Anyways, this is a new flask that gives you a whopping 35 resistance to all schools of magic. For the same reason as for the food, this flask is a godsend, because it gives you shadow resistance outside of your gear. We actually already had a similar flask since phase 1, but that flask uses Black Lotus and it only gives 25 resistance. This uses TBC herbs only and it gives 35, so it should be cheaper and better. But yeah, you don't need a ton of these, just buy enough herbs for you to make a couple of them at least for the first couple weeks. Then by the time you get your Black Temple reputation up, you'll be able to craft a ton of shadow resistance gear. In the meantime, if you want to know the other basic things you can do to get shadow resistance, check our first preparation video, where we talked about that there. Finally, the last and probably most important thing to prepare for phase 3 is to be ready to raid on Thursday. If you want to, that is. Blizzard mentioned that raids are releasing on the 27th, which is a Thursday, and Thursdays are not typical raiding days for most guilds, so you and your guild should prepare for that. Blizzard mentioned on Twitter that the reason for that is so they have a global release and so that it doesn't clash with the Asian region maintenance times. That's fair, there, and that should make for an interesting race to World First, by the way. But what this means for you is that you should probably talk to your guild and see what their plan is and see if you can raid on that day yourself, if that's not a day you usually raid on. And that's pretty much all I have for you today. As I said at the start, I tried to include things that I forgot on the original video, and new things that Blizzard added to the game on here, but there's probably some stuff that I forgot. So if you guys have any important things to prepare for that I haven't mentioned here, please drop them in the comments to help out your fellow TBC players. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the Classic WoW Curios channel for more content like this. I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Bye for now.